Ladies and gentlemen, what on earth is going on with this marketplace? It's starting to give me some crazy readings on my blood pressure. 1 minute, the market is just all terrible. Next minute, Broadcom and OpenAI are getting into bed together, and they are going to be developing some major data centers going into 2026. At last, the tech market is here to save the day. Looking at NASDAQ, you can see it's making a little bit of a recovery to the upside. Looking at other assets across the board, not really seeing too much just yet. Bitcoin, we're going to be talking about cryptocurrency, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a very interesting weekend, to say the least. But listen, a lot of people got liquidated, okay? The thing that you got to understand is this. Bitcoin didn't really do too badly, let's be honest now. A lot of altcoins have been smacked, annihilated. And of course, a lot of people's portfolios have been wrecked. And this is the brutal truth about the market. And I was reading a lot of people that were talking about, I exercised good risk management. I didn't use too much leverage. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, even a pair of aces will lose. That's the truth. You can do absolutely everything correctly in the marketplace, but it just goes to show and prove that nothing can be predicted. You just don't know. Now, if you are in the right direction, ladies and gentlemen, the game is 50-50. You're either right or you're wrong. Now, how badly you are wrong and how good you are right is a different kind of thing altogether. But the game of speculation itself, ladies and gentlemen, it's not built for the get-rich-quick adventurer. It's not. And those are Jesse Livermore's words. And those words make sense. It's something that's progressive, something that you develop, something that you build up. Now, naturally, a lot of people got wiped out in crypto. And it's sad, because a lot of people were riding on a lot of things happening and everything was all skewed to the upside, and then they just pulled out this magnificent drop to the downside and completely just wiped everything across the board. There's a lot of insider trading. There's a lot of people trying to investigate. You got Crypto.com CEO trying to step in and say that there should be a probe to investigate what's going on. And the sad truth is this, ladies and gentlemen, the move to the downside is kind of being dismissed right now because OpenAI have just pretty much come and given the market a lifeline. Why is this week a very important week, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it's simple. You've got earnings from the big boys, and the big boys being TSM, ASML. You're going to hear a lot about what's going on with those guys and where they project out the future of the tech market. But quite frankly, the Taiwan index itself is going to dictate where we are with the economy of the US. The manufacturing data is going to dictate where we are with the economy of the US. These sort of behaviors that you're seeing in the marketplace right now are consistent with V-shaped reversals. And a lot of hedge fund managers don't like it. But because there's been so much money plowing into AI, every single time you hear about something good or a partnership coming into play, it fuels that idea of, okay, you know what? Everything is all good. Okay, so what we're going to do today is going to break everything down. I'm going to dive into all sorts of stuff with regards to cryptocurrency and, of course, the marketplace, oil, Forex, NASDAQ, you name it. And hopefully by the time the market opens itself, you guys should be prepped with everything that you need. Okay, so let's get with the program, ladies and gentlemen. Let's break it all down. So here it is. NASDAQ's making a nice little reversal from the downside from this play in the Asian session. And that's on news regarding OpenAI getting into bed with Broadcom. So it's going to cover 10 gigawatts of compute capacity. Obviously, that's where we're going. We're going all AI. In order for AI to evolve, it needs the data centers to expand and work and process all this information. Now, I stand to be corrected, of course. I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but that's another story. But let's just break it all down and explore what's been going on. So, stocks rebound, Trump and all this stuff. He comes out with some comment on Friday. It rocks the markets. And then he says, don't worry, everything's going to be all good with China. Besson earlier on today was talking about the idea of China as well. And he's talking about how the US government shutdown is affecting the US economy. Not so much. You already knew what it was going to cost you before you actually shut down. That's the joke about it all. They lead people to believe certain things. Remember, if the US government is shut down for 2 weeks, it's going to cost them around $5.6 billion in terms of loss of compensation. That equates to 0.1 to 0.2% of the GDP. Well, the GDP has been expanding, and it expanded far more greater than what they had projected it to be at 3.3%. It came in at 3.8%. You take off 0.1, 0.2 of that, you're still sitting in a really nice position. So, thank you very much for your irrelevant comment, but never mind. Now, listen, a lot of things are happening in the marketplace as we stand. Now, look, the stock market, the way the stock market works is like this. It's like feast famine, okay? You take it away instantly, you then replace it straight away. And that's what goes off with these rallies to the upside. The longer they spend consolidating, the more you're going to start seeing people starting to build positions like this, okay? But then when you see these sharp movements to the downside, they are equally met with reversals back up. That doesn't mean that the market is going to indefinitely go to the upside, but with the news regarding OpenAI, it's adding fuel. Now, the only thing that is left to be added to this is Trump. And I think Trump is going to feel like he's losing out on the limelight right now because he did cause this madness across the board, regardless of what you say, all right, or whatever motivations there were. He caused the drop across the board on Friday. Now, equally, he wants to be the reason everything goes back up again because that's the name of the game. I will laugh my head off if Trump comes out today and says something really nice so that the stock market can be like, thank you very much, Trump. We got our discount. Yippee-ki-yay to the upside. Okay? Now, stick with me on this, ladies and gentlemen, because a lot of people are asking the question, are we due for a crash? Are we due this? And I'm just going to nip it in the bud right now and help you focus on two aspects of data that we can use to determine if or not we are going into the big old crash that everybody's anticipating. Check this out. In front of you is the percentage of industries with positive year-on-year EPS growth. This is important. We have yet to hit the peak. When we hit over 100%, that is when we can assume that earnings per share for companies or the growth is overly weighted, as in it's too much. And usually we would expect a little bit of a retracement to come into play overall. We're nowhere near it. Right now we're at 75%, so we're not even at the peak of it yet. Okay? So then that does lead to the idea, yep, okay, we're going to see further movement to the upside. All right? Hold on a second. I need to just actually kill this off because it's actually killing off my computer. Does that make sense? Can you guys hear me? Yeah? Are we good? We good? Okay, cool. Now, so in front of you, yes, we do have, let me just fix this. There we go. So yeah, in front of you is a very important chart that tells you from the stocks perspective that we are nowhere near any levels that we need to be too concerned about. Some are saying that it's overheated, but it's not there just yet because we haven't hit the extreme that historically leads to corrective moves. Now, let's go into another chart. This one right here. The Taiwan exports. Now, be mindful, this week we do have earnings. Going into it, we have JP Morgan declaring its earnings tomorrow with Johnson & Johnson, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock. And just be mindful, Johnson & Johnson, if I'm correct, has just recently settled a case for a woman who was using talcum powder and she contracted cancer and she won the case. And I think a payout of 900 million has been given to her. Okay, so that's going to look really interesting on their books on that payout. So we can anticipate there's going to be a bit of an issue with Johnson & Johnson. Now, with that being said, the rest of the week is filled with data that we need for the stock market in regards to the tech. ASML are going to be declaring their earnings. And on top of that, on the 16th, you've got TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, declaring their earnings as well. These are the two heavyweights in the tech market. And without them, we won't, if there's no progression with these companies, then we're going to have a big problem seeing the belief of investors thinking that everything's looking all good in the future for AI, which takes me back to this chart right here, the Taiwan exports. Logic says that when this peaks out, usually we can assume that the market is going to pull back because, of course, everything comes from Taiwan in terms of all of the apparatus, your chips and what have you. They're all being created in Taiwan. Taiwan Semiconductor. Happy days. Why do you think China's on its case all the time to try and take over it? Anyways, you can see here that we have got the world index coming in very nicely, but you also got the Taiwan export. The higher this goes, the more that there is activity and export going off with the Taiwan index as such. Now, that means semiconductors are being distributed around the world. The more these guys export, the more activity there is in the tech market, okay? And as long as that's going up, it means that everything is still all good. And you can see it's moving up aggressively, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop, especially with business deals like this with OpenAI and Broadcom. OpenAI only went into bed earlier, not so long ago, with AMD. So you can appreciate that there's a lot of things happening in the AI markets, okay? Now, with that being said, there's one more. This, the Manufacturing Cycle Index. What does this tell you? This tells you where we are overall in terms of activity in the stock, in the actual economy, from retail to transportation. Okay, how is money being utilized in the manufacturing sector? Okay, what is it? You know, the ISM Purchasing Managers Index that we wait for. That tells you how do purchasing managers rate the relative level of the economy, from labor, from contracts to business, everything. And if it's progressive and it's positive, or a reading above 50, tells you that there's expansion. And you can see here that it is expanding higher, okay? Historically, when it gets above the 1.5 region over here, we can anticipate the market is in a bit of an exhaustive place and everything is expanding massively. So we're going to naturally anticipate a little bit of a pullback. We're not even there yet, ladies and gentlemen. So then when you marry up the idea of what's going on in the stock market, you can say to yourself, is it really a problem that we witnessed this move? Look at the red vector. Strong chance that price is going to come back and recover that point, especially when you've got earnings this week. And it looks really progressive because Broadcom and OpenAI would not be committing so much liquidity if they think that the future is not going to be looking good, if they don't think that the consumer or businesses are going to consume what it is they have to offer. So it looks like things are looking kind of positive overall in terms of the economy. Not to forget that in 2 weeks' time, we've got the FOMC and bets are still in, 97.8% for a rate cut. So there's every reason to believe that this pullback across the board is just being engineered to just get everything on the cheap. I mean, come on, think about it. TSM are declaring their earnings. All the big banks are declaring their earnings. And then you've got ASML, the big Dutch company that makes the chips for everyone. Okay? You've just had continuous movement to the upside. There was bound to be a corrective move. I mean, not as aggressive as we had seen it, but for God's sake, if all these guys are going to declare profits, no one's going to be buying at premiums. They will take whatever they can. The sharp move that you witnessed on the NASDAQ, you can appreciate that it's given them the discount that they want. Just go and have a look at where we are from the NASDAQ's perspective. The volume that came in on the NASDAQ was not that great. It was above average, but it wasn't massive. And they only wiped out just roughly around 2 weeks of price action, which is not bad. I would be concerned if the NASDAQ had broken down and cleared out like 2-3 months worth of price action, but that's not what happened. Which tells me that this here is going to be one of those buying the dip opportunities. But then that leads me over to the story of crypto. Is now a time to buy Bitcoin? Crypto funds attract 3.2 billion in inflows despite Friday's flash crash. Now, there's a lot of stories with regards to this drop from the trader who opened his shorts, and currently he is still in shorts, okay? And then you've got a lot of BlackRock getting involved. I mean, BlackRock's turning around saying that Bitcoin is a safe investment like gold. Well, let's be honest, guys. Come on. Let's go back into it. Let's have a look at Bitcoin, okay? Besides the flash crash, Bitcoin has done very well. Let's be honest now. It's done so well. I mean, BNB has just taken the piss. It hit an all-time high. What do you want me to say to you about that? Now everyone's trying to dump this coin. Like, they were just, why is everyone in crypto trying to screw each other over? Like, dump this coin. I'm seeing a lot of guys on X saying, get rid of this coin. CZ has just screwed everyone over. Look, everyone experienced the pain across the board. They did, okay? But in my opinion, this could be one of those big opportunities that you could actually exploit only if Trump does not stop it. Because Trump is really the only one that can influence this market. He really is. You might not like to hear it or not, but he has a very big interest in cryptocurrency. So you can rely on the fact that when everything comes down, he's paying attention and his people to start buying everything up. So there's your signal in principle, okay? Now, when we look at Bitcoin's price action, a lot of people have been saying Bitcoin is done, Bitcoin is this. No, it's not done in my opinion. Go and have a look at the inflows, outflows over here on the ETF. You can appreciate we're still at these significant levels at 804,944. Going over into the actual ETF, the transactions on chain as such. We're not really seeing any activity just yet. This was from 2 days ago. Okay, even though BlackRock did offload a little bit of Bitcoin going into the evening of the drop, it was around 3 a.m., 16 hours after the actual drop that happened. This is just an accumulation for them because we're in an easing cycle, man. Money's going to get cheaper. So you could assume that this was the preparation for it. Okay, I'm going to give you some game here. Check this out. Yeah, I spoke about that. And Mara's coming in buying some Bitcoin, but I want to park this for a second. Look at this. Hear me out when I say this. For every discussion that Trump has with a nation, whether it's regarding minerals or anything else, okay, He's doing it for a deal. That means money is going to be made, whether it's for the US, whether it's for himself or anyone else. Okay. Now, this right here is critical because China and US, it's all about the rare earths. Okay. China back in the day put a cap on the rare earth metals and they capped 60% of the supply they were exporting out. Okay. That really infuriated the US. That's why Trump is effectively treading on thin ice when he's playing this game with China. Okay. But who's in control? Is it the US or is it China? Who knows? But this is important, which leads me over to this stock. Pay attention to this stock, ladies and gentlemen. US rare earth. USA rare earth. Trump's trying to get into business with these guys. He's trying to sort something out. And equally, China's going to be doing the same thing as well. There's going to be some relationship coming into play. Here is an example of a stock that you could take into consideration for that. What you've got to do is just keep an eye out on what's going on in the rare earth markets. When you've got yourself a stock, pay attention to it, what's going on in the news, because everything in this marketplace, ladies and gentlemen, is motivated by news, not technical analysis. Technical analysis is the aftermath. Did anybody know about OpenAI getting into bed with Broadcom other than the people that already knew about it behind the scenes? No. They didn't. Maybe this drop to the downside has been engineered for all the next businesses, business ventures that are all going to come out, and all the partnerships that are going to evolve. We just don't know. But we are in a very news-motivated environment, which is why you got to keep your risk light. Wait until Trump goes to bed before you start trading. But he doesn't sleep. Okay, so you got to be very careful with it all. But it's all driven by news. Look what the stock market's just done. Rejected the lows. Okay. Quickly go into it. It's rejected the lows right now from these areas on the news of OpenAI. The market's not even open just yet. So you can appreciate the market's going to appreciate that. Go over to NVIDIA. Where's that at? Hold on. I'm going to look at some other charts right now. Hold on. NVIDIA. Where's NVIDIA at? NVIDIA's just shy away from its all-time high. About to recover the vector candle. It's currently gapping up. Okay. From $183, is now trading just shy of $188. Okay, going over into Amazon, same story. She's also gapping up. Google also gapping up as well. So it looks like stocks are going to make a recovery across the board. All you need to do is just go over and have a look at where we are with the VIX volatility index coming back down. We spoke about this on Friday. Okay, we spoke about it. All right, they've hedged themselves. You want to know how they've hedged themselves? Oh, the mood data's come in. Big liquidity coming in on the mood data right now. Market open orders, that is. Top 5 buys right now are Oracle, Now, GS, Goldman Sachs, FCX, and UNP. And the Mag 7 has seen quite a lot of liquidity going in. Yeah, it's about 121 million in the open market orders, buy side, and then 40 million on sell side. So you can appreciate that we got ourselves a relatively decent open today. NASDAQ is still trading at 1.89% and 1.93%. So that's not really great in my opinion. It should be above 2% if I'm honest with you. But as long as the VIX keeps on maintaining itself and pulling back, then the logic says that they're coming out of hedging apparatus and then going into risk on assets across the board. Quickly breaking it down, going into gold. See you later. What do you want me to say? Interest rate expectations are going to get cut. 97.5, whatever it is, 97.8. They're going to keep on plowing into gold. US government shutdown, still going to keep on going into gold. Silver, 51. Happy days. Next price target is $60. That's what I'm expecting. Probably with the possibility of going over to 100, but that will mean a catastrophic event across the board because silver and gold going up means that there is an issue overall. And I expect that issue to come into play. However, with the dollar going up, Aussie yen moving up, US dollar against the Aussie against the US dollar still up. Everything is trading positive. Euro is trading negative. And that's only on the back of the fact that the dollar dominance is starting to gain traction in terms of purchasing power. So that could easily lead to the idea that investors are going into the bonds. Well, let's just break it down. Go over to the bonds market. Where we at? Bonds are up 0.66%. So yields are getting locked in. Yields are down. Stock market in principle should be trading higher. Back into Bitcoin. Let's break it all down for you guys so you can understand where we are. Looking at the liquidations that we've got in sight. As you can see here, you have got a lot of short liquidations at the 112,496. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me just refresh this. Wait there. Come on. I've got a question here. Someone's asked a question. Wait there. Where was it? Tino, can you check altcoins? I want to know if there is any probability that they can recover that wick from Friday. Alts like ARB, TON, POL, etc. Right, the best way for me to do that for you, my man, just before I do that, 114,000. In other words, the liquidations on Bitcoin right now, the higher margins sit at 116,000. It looks like it's a bit of an even distribution across the board with liquidations. But again, look how many people got liquidated. It's not stopping anyone. They're back in the game. That's the brutal truth of this marketplace. You know, whatever happened on Friday, the sad truth of it all is this: it's done. Now, we can complain about it, fine. And it is a shit situation for a lot of people. A lot. 2,000 people supposedly unalive themselves, ladies and gentlemen. That's shocking. All right? Please manage your expectations of this game. Don't fall for no hype. Don't have in your mind, oh, this company should be great in terms of crypto, because crypto has not got the same. Investors in crypto don't have the same, how can I put it to you? Take a stock from the stock market. You've got legacy mindset in there. There's value in there. Look, let me explain it to you so you understand. Go and find me an altcoin that presents this information for you. How many fund owners are holding it? What's the earnings per share? What's the sponsorship rating? What's their 5-year price earnings range? What's their EPS growth? What's their quarterly earnings? Are there any other assets inside of this stock company that are doing the same thing in terms of a sector? All right? Where is that information? You're relying on just people falling in love with the idea of what the coin can do. You want to know about frustration? Buy XRP, buy ADA. With all of the hype that's surrounding cryptocurrency, you'd think that those assets would be exploding. Maybe not ADA, maybe not XRP, but another story. Before we get to that kind of mentality with altcoins, there's only going to be one coin. And I'm sorry to say it. But outside of Bitcoin, everything else is a meme coin. Sorry, if it's not Bitcoin, it's a meme coin. That's the truth. Because as much as you might not like to hear it, Bitcoin does have a utility. It has a purpose. And it looks like a lot of people like that purpose. With 804,944 contracts, you've obviously got Mara buying more of it. Where are we going to hear them say about XRP? When they're going to say about Solana? When are they going to start saying it about Chainlink? When they're going to say it about BNB, even though BNB is moving up so aggressively? Give me any of your altcoins. Okay, here's one altcoin in particular. ZEC, where is it? Is it ZEC? Is it ZEC? That's the only thing that survived it. You know? Hey, that's where you need to pay attention, like to assets like that. Okay? But then once it's all done and everything starts to climb back up, this will probably rotate and come back down again. Okay? Just take that into consideration, ladies and gentlemen, when you are actually trading. Let me just have a look at the assets that this guy wants me to look at. RBUS. I mean, the recovery of the wick, guys, yeah, it is a big sweep to the downside. The logic says that we could assume they're going to come back into it, but let me just paint this picture to you. Ethereum has near enough recovered the majority of its wick. That'll be a point they can come to later on in future. Solana, they've already recovered the majority of it, if more. Okay? So what you've got to look at is the actual, the totals chart, and look at where you are over there. Okay? Totals chart shows you what? A lot of altcoins have broken beyond the moving averages. It's just been completely messed up, the range. Okay? It's completely messed up. So what you've got to wait for is this. If the idea that altcoins are going to continue with their narrative back up and everyone that has been wiped out is going to start stepping in again, quite frankly, a lot of people are probably concerned about stepping in. So that is naturally going to lead light volatility, or should I say light volume, which will equally then start to bring assets up, which could encourage people to start getting in again. All right? And then stick it to them. But we are in an easing cycle, guys, which means that money's going to get cheaper for us in the future. All right? We've got the FOMC in 15 days. And once they cut the rates again, you're going to then get the next wave of, okay, are we going to cut the rates even more? And then assets will appreciate even further. You'll look back at this move. Just go back and have a look at what happened on the Bank of Japan carry trade unwind. Okay? Look what happened 5th of August. They did the same thing. Look, this is April. Look what happened there. But this was a progressive move. But 5th of August over here, they marked it down over a period of 2 days. Well, actually, it was a few more than that. 31st of July, when they said they were going to cut the rates. Sorry, increase the interest rates. And then on the 5th of August, they came and they reacted to it, which then triggered another rally to the upside. Tell me why this is no different. Economically speaking, the market is fine. That's why Warren says buy the blood. Okay. Cool. Market opens in 3 minutes. Bro, ETH is not a meme coin. I know. Figuratively speaking, my bro, I'm trying to get you to understand that if ETH is not a meme coin, why are we not seeing the same amount of volume going into Ethereum as we do with Bitcoin on the ETF? Clear as day that the priority is Bitcoin, right? If it was a priority or even worth anything, Michael Saylor would be picking it up. Maybe. Good old Fundstrap player. What's his name? Michael, is it? Bitwise? Yeah, it is. Bitwise, where is it? Where's his company? I've forgotten. No, what's his name? Oh, he's got the Bitwise company. Yeah. Wait there. I know I've got it here. Bitmine, that's it. There you go. So Bitmine, this is the treasury of ETH. Okay? So it's cheap, cheerful. Where is it? There you go. Whoops. Have I done it? There you go. Yeah. Bitmine. You know, this is the ETH treasury as such. All right? So keep an eye out on this. And another one I've got for you all before I let you guys go is this one. This came under my radar. Churchill Capital. Interesting. Blank check company formed in order to acquire or merge with one or more businesses. I wonder what business these guys are going to be getting into. Just keep an eye on it. Don't buy it. Keep an eye out on it because it's very, very volatile. All right? Just keep an eye on what these guys are going to be getting into. And that should be an interesting one. It's just recently been listed, IPO and what have you. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. As you go into the open, ladies and gentlemen, it does look like it's going to get a little bit chaotic. Just be very bloody careful, all right? Powell speaking tomorrow. It's Columbus Day, so the bond market is not open. So that means we're not really going to get the ability from investors to actually trade fully, okay? That's a $145 trillion market that's closed, all right? So you can appreciate that. It's going to be important to know where investors' heads are at with regards to that marketplace, okay? This week, it does start with Powell, and then throughout the week, we are supposedly going to get some PPI data about inflation. Depending on what the government shutdown story is, it's going to be pretty much business as usual. Everyone's going to be trading the idea that rates are going to get cut. Market is now open. It's looking kind of chaotic. Ladies and gentlemen, mad love and respect, and I'll be tuning into you all later on.